Hello and welcome to Gutted. I'm Aleece.
And I'm Tony, and we're here to spill our guts about horror film trailers. And we are continuing our spooky prep for October. There's a lot to cover before Halloween. We are going over some of the horror adjacent movies that are set to be released on October 3rd or 4th of this year, 2024.
Yep, this is our third spooky prep preview trailer episode. And who knows, we might do one more. The first week in October has quite a few horror or horror adjacent movies coming out, either in the theater or on streaming. We're going to go over these ones quick.
We have 8 movies to cover.
8 movies.
What a time to be a horror fan, right? It's almost like there's...
Sorry.
What a time to be a horror fan.
Yep.
We have so many movies coming out that are in the spooky horror adjacent
realm
or genre. A lot of good stuff coming out this month.
So we have to vet them. We can't possibly see all of them before Halloween. We'll probably see some of them eventually, but we have to pick a couple that we're going to watch or try to watch before that day.
We are covering some films that are going to be direct to streaming, so not just theatrical releases.
I think most of these are direct to streaming. Last week we had quite a few that were at least getting a limited release in theaters, but most of these coming out in the first week of October are direct to streaming. So Tony, what is our first movie that we're going to review?
A little movie you may have heard of. It's called Salem's Lot.
From that author that we might know called Stephen King. Yeah,
that's right.
One guy.
That's always how I introduce him.
Yeah, that one guy who you might have heard of named Stephen King. And a little shout out to one of our podcast friends, Erik Hanson of Cradle to the Grave podcast. He loves Salem Lot from the 70s, the miniseries from the 70s.
And we love Cradle to the Grave.
We love Cradle to the Grave.
So we are going to honor him by talking about a remake of his favorite movie ever.
Yeah. Cradle to the Grave has been so kind as to invite us on his podcast about 6 times. And he gave us these pins, these gravedigger buttons that his daughter designed because we are officially gravediggers since we've been on his show. I think this is his favorite movie. Eric, if I'm wrong.
This is his favorite movie.
Correct us if it's not. But in honor of Eric, we're doing this one first.
You have no idea what you're getting yourself into here.
Annie, where are you? Answer me.
This is not a disease you can catch.
You better take it.
Let me in.
You better take it.
If we don't fight back, they'll come for us eventually.
Things have gone bad in the lot now.
Run!
It's not safe!
Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping around.
Salem's Lot. Tony, what happened in that trailer?
We are back in small town Maine, and the town is being overrun by vampires. And we can tell because it's extremely foggy and there's a bunch of mysterious things going on, floating objects, bodies coming back to life, or just like people hanging out on the tops of buildings when they probably shouldn't be there.
People tapping at your second floor window.
I hear a lot of bat sounds. I mean, we've seen Salem's Lot, so we know what's going on here, but If you haven't seen this movie, this is a remake of the original 1979 Salem's Lot.
That's tricky though when you have movies that have been based off of a novel. We haven't read Salem's Lot. So we don't know how closely the miniseries from the 70s followed the novel, and we don't know how closely this remake is going to follow the novel.
So I'm just going to go off of the movie. It looks like we get a lot of similar elements. We have the little boy tapping at the window. We have the people in the morgue that are coming back to life, and there's that creepy house up on the hill. Looks like they have updated it with all of the modern effects and things that might happen in a horror movie these days. So it looks pretty awesome. They had a catchy little tune in the trailer. The sort of like, what is that? Gordon Lightfoot.
Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot.
I got kind of like a Lost Boys vibe.
Yeah.
Where it's like the town shuts down and there's a little boy who wants to fight back to take his town back.
I kind of got a 30 Days of Night vibe with all the vampires at the end standing on the roofs in the fog, and they're all backlit.
Yeah.
Spooky.
I'm surprised that this is not getting a theatrical release. It's just being released to Max, which is HBO.
HBO Max.
But that's definitely one that I'm excited for. Any predictions, Aleece?
Yeah, I feel like I should probably have read the book, but I didn't read the book. I'm going to predict that I'm going to enjoy this one.
Okay.
Yeah. It's directed by Gary Dauberman, and the adapted screenplay is also by Gary Dauberman. So he actually wrote or co-wrote several movies from the Conjuring universe, like Nun and Nun 2, Annabelle Comes Home. He also wrote and co-wrote It and It Chapter 2, the most recent ones from 2017 and I think 2019.
So some good and some bad in there. I think a lot of people were scared by the Conjuring universe, but there are also a lot of fans who maybe it's just like oversaturation and some of them didn't quite hit.
I think because there are so many, there's bound to be a few that were just not sitting well with you.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I was not a fan of many of the films in the Conjuring universe, but the first Annabelle movie did creep me out. But he, I think, is a fairly new director. The main guy in the movie is Louis Pullman, son of Bill Pullman. And he looks very similar to his dad. I'm a fan of Bill Pullman, and Who isn't? He's just that lovable, all-American dude. And it looks like his son is kind of following in his similar acting footsteps. He looks like a character that I'm going to enjoy in this movie. I'm going to predict that I will enjoy this.
All right. What a cop-out prediction.
I know. Well, what are your predictions? It's hard to predict of something.
My prediction is that the town is going to get boarded up and the little boy is going to save them with the help of the writer. They're going to protect their town.
Yeah.
It's about small town values.
Small town values. Protect those close to home.
And finding heroes in the unexpected place, aka a little kid.
Yeah. I mean, that happens in the original.
Well, then it's not going to stray far from the original. Yeah. When there's a remake, and it is tough to make predictions because if you've seen it, then you already sort of know what happens. So, all right.
Yeah.
I will also predict that it will be enjoyable.
Good. And looking at the poster, we have Max Original Salem's Lot towards the center bottom. And then off coming out from the left-hand side of the poster is a creepy little spindly hand. It looks kind of like the poster to the series of unfortunate events with Jim Carrey.
Lemony
Snicket hand.
I mean, the fact that you have that poster memorized says something.
I mean, I never saw the movie, but I've seen that poster. And I will say this is why I'm not a huge fan of this poster, because it reminds me of the Lemony Snicket poster. And that I think was a kid's movie. So I'm like, I don't know about this one. And then off on the right-hand side, there's like a little boy, but we just see the backside of the little boy's head. And he's about to be poked by that spindly vampire hand.
I could see this being a book cover for like a teen horror novel, you know, having a young person be one of the main characters. Maybe the target audience is more of like a teen or younger,
like a YA
kid. Yeah.
The YA demographic.
Yeah.
Tony, what merch do you want from this poster?
I thought long and hard about this. I'm going to get a window decal.
Ooh.
To commemorate the rapping at the window, the tapping.
Ooh.
So I'll just put this creepy hand and the little boy, but maybe I'll put like some glowing eyes or something on.
Yeah, it would be cute if this hand is coming out and tapping on your window.
Yeah.
I like that window decal idea, and I'm going to second it. Let's do it.
I'm also going to need a fog machine to set up outside the window to complete the effect. So it's going to be a two-parter.
Yeah, let's get a bunch of window decals with this hand and just put them on every single window.
That might, all right.
Around our house.
Yeah. That's going to go over real well.
We have no HOA, whatever. Do what we want. All right, so that was our first trailer to review, and we had a definite spooky season creature, vampires.
Yes. Salem's Lot, streaming on HBO Max on October 3rd.
Next up, we have House of Spoils, co-directed and co-written by Bridget Savage Cole and Danielle Crudy. This is both of their second feature-length film that they've done together and their second feature-length film all together. House of Spoils is starring Ariana DeBose, who just won an Oscar in 2022 for West Side Story.
Huh.
Yeah. So let's...
She going to be singing in this one?
I don't know. That would be lovely if she broke out into a little tune, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
House of Spoils. Let's check out that trailer.
The previous owner? You know about her?
Everyone around here has a witch lady story. I wouldn't need anything from her garden.
You've been watching too many tales from the crypt, my dude.
Come this way. Come.
We have a squid ink risotto. It was hot.
This spoon can get very hot. What was that all about?
Well, there's something very wrong with this place.
You are the chef.
Oh my God.
This is on you.
You're continuing to have anxiety?
Oh, this feels different.
I really believed you when you said that you were ready for this. Now I'm watching you fall apart.
Ugh. Hope you're all still hungry.
All right, that was House of Spoils. Aleece, tell us what's going on in this trailer here.
In House of Spoils, it looks like Ariana DeBose's character is a chef, perhaps from the big city, and she wants to go off on her own, but it's probably expensive. So where does she go? To the middle of nowhere, and she's going to make like a 5-star or like, I don't know, 3-star Michelin star kind of thing. She's going to make a fine dining experience with a bunch of tweezer food. The house that she gets has a lovely garden, but it used to be owned by somebody who was perhaps a witch. And she's like, whatever, ghosts aren't real. That's not real. But weird stuff starts to happen. She starts plating her really fancy food and she sees bugs coming out of her squid ink risotto. Gross. And she starts acting kooky as well, because towards the end, she's covered in dirt and she's eating food off people's plates and she spits it out. That's not like her. She's also taking pills for anxiety throughout the trailer. So we know there's going to be an element of, is it caused by her anxiety? Does she need to re-up on her meds? What's going on? Is it in her mind, or is it actually the house that is, I don't know, demonic or possessed? Yeah.
I want to just start off by saying that was a lovely synopsis.
Thank
Your ability to retell a story of a 2-minute trailer is impeccable.
Thank
a lot better than my sort of mishmash telling of Salem's Lot, just assuming that people understood what I understood, which was probably not much.
They probably got it. I mean, it's Salem's Lot, enough said.
Yeah. Anyways, great job on that.
Thank you.
From Blumhouse, they've seen The Bear. They've seen The Menu.
Exactly. I was going to say, it reminds me of The Bear Meets The Menu, and The Bear, which just won several Emmys. They are riding high on this food concept, and The Menu did pretty well. Was it last year or the year before? Anyway, The Menu did pretty well when it came out, and so they're just combining these two concepts, and It's going to be great.
Throw in a little touch of ratatouille and we're good to go.
Yeah, Ratatouille as a little possessed witch lady. Yes. Tony loves mentioning Ratatouille, by the way.
Oh, it's a great concept.
Yeah. Also, it kind of reminds me, it has like a little dash of burnt offerings in that it seems like the house is making things spoil.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes, definitely.
And it's starting to seep into the minds of the inhabitants who didn't act this way before, quote unquote, crazy or unhinged.
Yeah. This story is sort of a metaphor for gentrification in general.
Oh.
Because it's some out-of-towners, some like hotshots who are coming out to the boonies, as they so say. And of course, they're going to be uppity and like, look, this food is more important than blah, 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 blah. And then they go out into the forest and they're foraging things and they don't really understand, but they think they understand. But what ends up happening is they forgot how to preserve food. They didn't cover anything. They didn't put saran wrap over anything.
They had it in a cooler. I mean, I think their cooler
the power wasn't on.
Power went down. Not their fault.
They put it in the walk-in, but they didn't turn the refrigeration.
And they left it for weeks with the power off. Gross.
Yeah. So everything's moldy. Everything's gross. And
yeah. There was one scene in the trailer towards the end. It looks like she's crawling in a hole or down a hole. And it reminds me of somebody going into an esophagus. Like she's going to empty into a giant, I don't know, intestinal tract or stomach. Like she becomes the bolus. She is the food blob that's going down the house's esophagus.
Oh, that's a great image.
That's
so
my
is that
prediction.
your prediction? Okay.
Yeah. So she's kind of like in like a barbarian type style. She goes down into the basement and then finds a hole and goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's an actual dirty hole. And once she gets into the other side of the hole, she's in a giant cavern, AKA the stomach of the house. And that's when she kind of flips and she turns into the previous inhabitant. And that's when she gets out of the stomach. I guess she's going to get like pooped out or something at some point, pooped out of the house's butt, and then end up in the dining room of her fancy guests. And that's the scene where she's eating off their plates and she's like, gross.
Where she literally looks like shit.
She looks like poop because she's covered in the house's poop.
Wow. Okay.
I love this.
That's a
metaphor.
great prediction. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the house is going to be personified.
Yeah. I'm just going to ride on that.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Who's this witch person who has previously lived in the house?
Who's this witch that became the house and then ate Ariana DeBose?
I'm hoping it's sort of like a Ernest Scared Stupid kind of thing.
Like Eartha Kitt used to live there?
Exactly.
It does kind of look like an Eartha Kitt from Ernest Scared Stupid house.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's look at the poster.
In the poster, we have Ariana DeBose, and she looks menacing in her chef's coat, but it looks like it's being taken over by weeds, and it's kind of dirty in the background. I don't think that her restaurant is going to pass a health inspection because it's a little grimy, but the font is impeccable and it says House of Spoils and it's really sort of wiggly and almost
wavy.
Mystical, like steam coming out of a pot or sort of like a witch's brew or something like that. I could see this poster being one of those books that you see in the airport where it's like, you know, at the bookstore and you're like, oh, what's this? House of Spoils? Yeah.
What kind of merch would you get?
I'm going to get some Tupperware that says House of Spoils on it because I don't think they were using any. And I think that's why everything went moldy.
So it's like the irony. They didn't have Tupperware in the movie, but they're going to have that as their merch.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we should have done. Here you go. Cool. I'm going to do a cookbook from House of Spoils.
Oh, okay.
So all their dishes that are in the movie, I want them to be in my little House of Spoils cookbook.
Some beetle risotto.
Beetle squid ink risotto. I want that in my cookbook. Ariana DeBose bolus.
All right. That sounds great.
Yep. That was House of Spoils coming out on Prime on October 3rd of this year.
All of the streaming sites are going to be competing with their movies.
Some hot films coming out.
Next, we have a movie called Hold Your Breath, starring Sarah Paulson, who we know from American Horror Story.
Oh yeah, she was in Run.
Written by Carrie Krause and co-directed by Carrie Krause and William Joines. You thought that was interesting because typically you see multiple writers and one director, but this one has one writer and multiple directors.
Yeah.
They collaborate regularly, but this is both of their first feature-length film.
We have a few new directors to feature-length films in this list.
Always great to see new people in the game. Let's check out the trailer for Hold Your Breath.
gray man is everywhere. You can't keep him out.
Didn't I ask you to tie the doors?
I did! He seeps through the cracks and gets inside you. He's all around us. If you breathe him in, he'll make you do terrible things.
He'll make you do terrible things.
Mama, were you outside all night?
My advice, say keep the house sealed best you can. Relax. You're taking your sleeping aid?
Any word on that drifter? What if it happens again?
Those girls are lucky to have you. You don't think that?
He could be anywhere!
Was he in me? Mom? If you breathe him in,
Get inside!
he'll make you do terrible things.
We're very well. You?
That was Hold Your Breath. Tony, what happened in that trailer?
We've had a movie that was incredibly moldy and another movie that was incredibly foggy. So this is going to be our Dusty movie. It's a Hulu original starring Sarah Paulson, and it follows a mother and her daughters who live in this small town, Dust Bowl kind of vibes, and there is a drifter. This drifter is no good. This drifter also might be dust.
Might be dust.
And this drifter might also possess you if you breathe in the evil dust. In the trailer, it says evil is in the air. The mom, Sarah Paulson, she's struggling to protect herself, to sort of like board up her house and seal all the cracks and the crevices. But at the same time, she's popping pills.
Sleeping pills, apparently, according to the doctor.
Yeah, she might be sleepwalking. She might be out all night with a shotgun. We don't know.
The townsfolk said the drifter, he was a murderer and he just kind of melted into the earth, or he melted into the dust.
Yeah, so who is this Dusty Drifter?
Dusty Drifter.
I don't know if I've ever seen a scary sewing scene. Every time I sew, I think that I'm going to stick the needle through my finger.
And like keep sewing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like not pay attention, then shoot, your hands sewed to the cross
Might as well keep going.
Yeah. I also want to point out it's co-starring Eben Moss-Backrack, who plays Richie in The Bear. And Sarah Paulson also has a small role in The Bear. So they were both co-stars of The Bear, the show that we just mentioned for the previous trailer. So a lot of things connecting the dots, stitching these films together.
Aleece, what are your predictions for Hold Your Breath?
I think it's a conspiracy. The men in town are poisoning the women, especially Sarah Paulson. I don't think she has a man at home. I'm going to guess that her husband went off and died and never came back. And now she's been prescribed some quote unquote sleeping pills.
Some Quaaludes.
Some opium. She's been taking opium and it's making her hallucinate this dust character.
Is it going to be sort of like one of those gaslighting women?
I think
movies?
so. It's like she's been gaslit.
She's going to end up shotgunning the mayor in the face.
That's your prediction?
Yeah.
Okay, so she shoots the mayor. Why does the mayor get shot?
Because he seemed like the one who was giving her the pills.
I thought that was the doctor.
I think in those small towns, you're the mayor and the doctor.
You wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one guy in town, he's the mayor, the doctor, and probably the dust man. Who knows?
Definitely the dust man.
He's all of them.
Yeah.
It reminds me of La Espera. It reminds me of La Espera, The Wait, this movie that we reviewed a couple weeks ago, a Spanish film. I haven't seen it yet, but it
reminds me of a movie I have not seen.
But it reminds me of that trailer where it's like the land will get you.
The land, yeah, and it's really dusty.
Yeah,
too.
something in your past will haunt you in your mind and it will get you. And you will eventually become part of the land in some way or another.
Yeah, Life on the Prairie.
Life on the Prairie. Let's look at that poster. It's mostly red and reddish hues. At the top, it says Sarah Paulson, Hold Your Breath, October 3rd on Hulu. And it looks like there is a red silhouetted person who's gasping for air, holding their throat, and they can't breathe because it's way too dusty outside. Tony, what kind of merch would you get from this poster?
One of those cool old-timey COVID masks, the N95 dust mask that I saw in the trailer.
The one the little boy was wearing?
Yeah.
It's like a full face mask made of like plaster?
No, not that one. There was another mask in the trailer that looked more like a N95, the masks that we loved wearing for years ago.
You don't want the plaster full face mask that the little boy was wearing? That looked pretty cute.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The poster is also very dusty, so dusty that it's hard to really see what is going on there.
It's very vague, yeah.
But it does also give me that feeling of like dry and kind of like, like
you're choking.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I want one of those cross-stitch kits that Sarah Paulson was using in the film where she was sewing and then she sewed her hand to the cross-stitch circle wood frame pattern. So I want this poster image on this cross-stitch kit.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that'd be cute.
Just do not sew your finger. And if you do not continue to sew.
If it came with like a little tiny finger sewed to the back, that would be an added bonus.
That would be cool. That was Hold Your Breath on Hulu, October 3rd.
Next up, we have Monster Summer, which is our second feature from director David Henry. He's primarily an actor from a bunch of Disney shows and kid shows like That's So Raven and The Wizards of Waverly Place. It's starring Mel Gibson, who we know from Braveheart, Signs, Lethal Weapon, and Lorraine Bracco from Hackers. Mason.
Thank you for saying
You're
from
welcome.
Hackers.
I knew that Tony really wanted me to mention that.
She's also in Goodfellas.
Yeah, and The Sopranos. It also has Mason Thames, who we know from Black Phone, as well as Kevin James, Paul Blart, Mall Cop. And Patrick Renna seems to have a cameo from The Sandlot.
As the same character.
He's an umpire.
Let's check out the trailer for Monster Summer.
If we sit around and do nothing, kids are gonna get hurt, including us.
It came after me, man.
What came after you?
There's definitely something weird going on here. Monsters.
Yeah. You guys ready?
It's not us. Who?
Let's do this.
The kids have this vacant look in their eyes. Lights are on, nobody's home. You are overreacting. It's just kids being kids.
Gene.
No, I thought I told you.
Gene?
All right, that was Monster Summer. Aleece, what happened in that trailer?
Okay, this is our first and I think only PG-13 horror film on the list. Monster Summer. It takes place, I think, in the 70s. We have that nice little Tiffany song, I Think We're Alone Now, or maybe it's the 80s. I don't know. These buddies in this small town, they play baseball together, having a great time. It's the summertime. And then weird things start to happen. At one point, one teenage couple goes swimming and one of them gets taken, but then he returns as kind of like a zombified child. And they're like, we got to get some help from this old man Carruthers, played by Mel Gibson. And he's supposed to be this creepy old dude that lives alone, and he comes out of his house and they all start screaming. But he's also just kooky enough to help a bunch of kids fight some monsters. And they even ask him, what's happening? He's like, monsters, obviously.
And of course, he's got his conspiracy theory web of maps and strings and stuff.
Do you think that's a callback to his role in conspiracy
There's a lot of callbacks in this trailer.
Yeah,
There's a callback to The Sandlot.
Sandlot callback, conspiracy theory callback. Cool. Black Phone callback. I mean, Mason Thames is getting typecast as that old-timey kid that's just trying to solve problems.
A kid that likes to get kidnapped.
Kid that gets kidnapped. A kid that gets into some horrific trouble and tries to save the day because parents don't believe him. Parents don't understand.
This movie reminds me of a lot of other movies, such as The Sandlot, Monster Squad, although it's been a while since I've seen that one, but it seems like a very similar premise to Monster Squad. A little bit of like a Goonies or maybe a Stranger Things-esque camaraderie amongst the kids. And then also conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theory. And a little bit of Night Swim. In the beginning, when those two kids were swimming, it had a very Night Swim vibe. So what kind of monster is this that can go in the water? It goes in abandoned houses. It goes into the forest. So this monster knows no bounds.
This monster is about becoming an adult. I think that's what it is. That's my prediction. Yes, because this is a coming of age movie and these kids, it's like the summer that everything changed. And what's scarier to a kid than growing
Puberty.
up? When they go through it and they become post-pubescent, they kind of lose their kid-like.
They lose the life in their eyes.
Yeah, and they're just vacant.
Vacant adults. Oh, boring. Who wants to grow up? Not Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson doesn't.
No, he definitely does not.
Or his character, rather. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's my prediction, is that they are going to work with Mel Gibson to fight against growing old.
Yeah. In the end, do you think they will still lose their childlike wonder of the world? Will they become just like their parents, getting to the grind of the monotony of the day-to-day?
Yes, they all get jobs.
They
accept it. Yeah. And now they're adults. They have to go to work and all that.
So the monster wins. Damn.
But they learn to accept it.
They learn to love the monster.
And they still play baseball. They're still on the same baseball team. So
they become the coaches. Just like the umpire.
It's an adult league. It's like one of those softball leagues that your parents play.
Okay. What about Mel Gibson? What happens to him?
He goes to jail on a technicality.
Like unpaid parking tickets?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this looks like a feel-good, coming-of-age, spooky, adjacent type movie.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, even before watching the trailer, that it seems to me as if it's been a while since we've had one of these sort of like fun kids against the monster type movies like that were very popular in the 80s and 90s.
Okay. I will say there's a movie that came out a couple of years ago called Slashback. It was on Shudder. I really enjoyed that one. It was this group of teens, I think in Alaska, and they were fighting these pod people monsters. And it was the kids against the doubting adults.
I think Stranger Things was probably this generation's version of that, like Goonies and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Looking at the poster.
We have Monster Summer. All of the kids are staring up into the sky. There's a full moon as what happens when the monsters come out, and it kind of looks like a jack-o'-lantern or a cat face. And they are together. What merch are you going to get of the poster here? I'm going to get a baseball jersey because they're all on a baseball team.
I thought about a baseball paraphernalia. I'm not the biggest fan of baseball, so I would feel like a poser.
But you will be after watching this movie.
I will be after this. Maybe I will get a baseball hat.
But you never wear hats.
I don't wear hats. Maybe I'm going to stick with lantern because I'm assuming they're going in the woods and it's dark. They're going to have a lantern at some point. I want a little Monster Summer lantern.
Monster Summer lantern. All right. Mm-hmm. It's going to look great on our wall of stuff.
No, I'm going to take it into the woods.
Oh, functional merch.
Merch. I need a lantern to go into the woods. That was Monster Summer, and it has a limited theatrical release on October 3rd.
Next up, we have a film called Little Bites, and this is the third feature-length film from writer-director Spider-One.
Yes.
Who, I did not know this, but you told me that this is the lead singer of a early aughts band, Power Man 5000.
You ready to go? Got some ready to go. What you wanna do, baby?
So
who's
that's
amped
awesome
for this? I was so excited when I saw this. I was like, what?
I mean, I haven't heard from Power Man 5000 since like 2002, maybe. 2000? I'm glad that Spider-One is thriving and making films, especially horror films. That is awesome. This one is starring Chrissy Vogel from the upcoming Terrifier 3, Barbara Crampton, our favorite horror It girl. She was in last year's Suitable Flesh. We also have Heather Langenkamp, another horror icon from Nightmare on Elm Street.
So a couple horror icons in this movie, along with a newcomer. Let's preview that trailer.
It turns out monsters are real. And there's one downstairs.
You wouldn't believe some of the things that we see. What's that?
Just give me the girl.
You won't have Alice. But if I find you something else to eat? Are you hungry? Where is he?
You underestimate me.
Mom!
No need to be afraid.
That was Little Bites. Tony, what happened in that trailer?
Little Bites, we have a mother and daughter horror film with some sort of monster in the basement. It looks like it could be a Nosferatu. Actually kind of reminded me of the
Master?
The Master, yeah, exactly.
From Buffy?
Oh, sorry, no. I was thinking of What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, him too, yeah.
Yeah, this mom, she looks like she's having a pretty rough go at whatever she's got going on, but she's being championed by Heather Langenkamp, so that's good. She's trying to feed her kid. Someone's trying to eat her kid. She's like, you know what? Instead of giving you my kid, can I just give you some other people? The mother and this demon are going to strike a deal. Then we're going to have a series of little bites.
Little bites. So it seems like the vampire monster obviously wants to just eat an entire little girl. And the mom's like, no, hold on. It's my kid. You can have little bites of me. So she makes this compromise. I'm going to guess.
Oh, yeah. That's like a very big main point that I didn't connect. So I'm glad you backed me up on that one.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that Barbara Crampton was the realtor and they got this house, but there's a catch. It comes with a demon vampire in the basement that you have to feed. The mom's like, okay, I will give you little bites of me, but you can only do that for so long before she has to find real people to feed this demon monster.
Yeah. This is sort of one of those movies where it's like the things that a mother goes through.
Exactly.
It literally consumes you. It's so draining. And it is a lot of hard work and effort to raise these little kids.
Oh, monsters.
Who are probably not going to appreciate what you did for them.
Yeah, they won't appreciate that you found a bunch of wanderers about town and fed them to a monster in the basement.
Other things, I am definitely getting some Hellraiser vibes. It looks like the monster is growing stronger with all of the people that is being fed to it.
All the little bites that it's getting.
Right. By the end, he's like wearing a trench coat and a hat and looks all dapper.
He's trying to go about town. He's like, I'm good now. Let's go out. No one wants to be in a basement forever. I don't blame him. But it also kind of reminds me of Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes. This is the age-old story of feeding victims to some sort of monster.
Just to placate them, to appease them.
Yeah.
Can only work for so long. The thing gets stronger.
Yeah, then what do you do?
You feed it too much and then you go to jail. I don't know. What do you think is going to happen?
The mother is going to lure all of these unsuspecting victims, maybe like dates or whatever, back to her place, drug them when she makes them dinner, drags them down to the basement and feeds them to the monster. Somehow she's going to sort of become a monster herself, but I think that she will overcome the monster in some way.
With help from her daughter. She'll finally have to come clean because she was trying to keep it a secret. She's trying to keep motherhood a secret from her daughter. But her daughter's going to find out and it's going to end up being a good thing. And it's going to be one of those things where it's like, you should have just told her from the get-go. I mean, your daughter looks like a teenager. I feel like she could have handled it. And so somehow she's going to get help from her daughter. Once the mother's incapacitated, the daughter will go out and start finding people to bring them back and feed the monster in the basement.
Okay.
I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like they can't ever get rid of the monster, like Babadook. But they're
another one of those.
They're going to work together, mother and daughter duo, so that they can both thrive and be healthy at the sacrifice of some random townsfolk.
Poor random townsfolk.
Probably weren't that great. Maybe they have like a vetting system. They find the ones that aren't that great.
Yeah, if she targets all the criminals in town, then
Hopefully they have a lot. Let's look at this poster for Little Bites.
Little Bites, mother, daughter, monster. So that is the family household there. It's the mother, the daughter, and the monster.
Yeah, they live together in harmony. Little triangle.
Who is this woman on? Is that the mother?
That's the mom.
And she is totally aghast at something.
She's holding her mouth, looking in horror. What does she see? And I do like this kind of distressed poster look. It looks like her forehead is either blood spattered or just dirt spattered. And so is her sleeve towards the bottom, like a dirty kind of poster that somebody spilled coffee on.
Maybe it was originally a clean poster and Spider-1 took it
coffee
with him while he was touring and just spilled, and it was just kind of messy and just kind of went with it.
Or it was like he had them on the front seat of his car and he was holding his giant mug of coffee with no lid. He came to an abrupt stop and spilled it all over his first poster and thought that looks cool.
Yeah, that's
I'm
always...
going to make that my poster now.
This reminds me of a sort of like retro style poster, maybe 70s horror. I like the font for Little Bites.
I do like the font. It's very sweet.
Yeah, it is very sweet.
A dirty, grimy poster with a sweet little font on top. I think I know my merch. I just want the poster.
Ooh, a classic poster.
I just want the poster of this one.
Let's see. I couldn't really think of any merch, so I just thought, like, you know what? I'm just going to get some socks.
Yeah, that would be cute.
Why not?
Yeah, I'll get a sock. We can each get one sock.
So yeah,
what if we got
just get a poster,
a CD signed by Spider-1?
That would be pretty cool.
So it's a CD of the soundtrack of Little Bites signed by Spider-1.
That would be cool.
Thank you, Spider-1.
Although I wasn't the hugest fan of Power Man 5000.
Come on!
So
You're ready to go, cause I'm ready to go.
I will admit that it definitely had its place in pop culture at the time and took the world by storm.
He did. And I did not know that Spider-1 directed 2 of Power Man 5000's music videos, maybe more. But I think the first one that he directed was in 1999. And then the second one that he directed was in 2000. I was like, whoa, you directed those and you were the front man? Pretty good.
Good job. Good job.
Good job, Spider-1.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this one.
I'm excited for this one too. It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Little Bites, and this will have a limited theatrical release set to come out on October 4th.
Next up, we have The Forest Hills, written and directed by Scott Goldberg and starring Edward Furlong, who we all know from T2.
Oh, was that like a question for me?
I thought maybe you were going to like jump in there and be like, yeah, Edward Furlong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
From
He's in
T2.
Yeah. American History X.
American History X. Dee Wallace from Cujo and lots of things.
I think she was in a couple of the trailers we just watched.
I think, was she?
Yeah.
I mean, she's been in a ton, so I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
She's working. I'm happy
she is working.
She is getting the roles.
I mentioned Cujo because we just mentioned Cujo on our Desert Island Animal Style episode, so... That's why I mentioned Cujo.
Check that out.
Check that one out. And the late, great Shelley Duvall, who we all know as Wendy Torrance from The Shining.
This is her last film.
She came out after a very long hiatus from films. This was her comeback to horror and also her last film.
So excited to check out the trailer for this one. We've been seeing it all over social media. Let's check out the trailer for The Forest Hills.
Your stories of hard work and courage have been so inspiring to me. I'm especially proud of my brother right here, Rico.
Focus on this, man. I'll tell you what. If that werewolf comes, BAM! Blow that motherfucker right away. The one who wishes to be covered in fur. Rip flesh, shed human skin. The inner wolf is ready to be released. For the one who wishes to be covered in fur. Rip flesh, shed human skin.
All Right. That was the Forest Hills. Aleece, what happened in that trailer?
It seems like we have a man who's trying to be one with nature and, technology. It looks like he's making a podcast in the forest in the Catskills of New York, but he's been dealt a rough hand in life. Looks like he just got fired by his boss, who might have been Dee Wallace, who yelled at him very aggressively for making a mess. His mom, I believe, is played by Shelley Duvall, and she is also really mean to him, always yelling at him, Rico, for messing up. His buddy, Edward Furlong, seems like he's a good buddy, but maybe doesn't quite know about his secret. And then we see Rico at some group therapy meeting in the woods, and he's talking about how oh man, sometimes it just comes out. And I can't tell if it's a group therapy session for other werewolves, because it seems like Rico's definitely a werewolf. And are the other people in this group therapy session also werewolves or just addicts of some sort? Anyway, eventually I think Edward Furlong figures out his secret and is trying to help him fight the werewolf within. Who knows if he does it? A lot of people die and get bloody.
And this guy rages out in the forest.
He rages out several times in the forest.
In the Forest Hills.
Yep.
I definitely saw the connection to substance abuse and an inner demon going out to nature to find peace. But is this character actually going to find peace out in nature?
Yeah, he's trying to fight the inner monster, but it seems like it keeps coming out and he feels bad every time because he's always hitting his head. It kind of reminds me of if you took David from American Werewolf in London and you fast forward several years later, he still is a werewolf on certain occasions and he's trying to fight it. So he joins group therapy.
This is like Nomadland meets a werewolf movie.
Yeah.
So maybe it's going to be sort of one of those types of things.
I like that. So it's Nomadland meets American Werewolf in London.
We have a werewolf movie, which there are a few werewolf movies coming out, and maybe another one we'll be talking about right after this. Next January, I think we have Wolfman coming out.
Wolfman comes out in January.
Yeah. Vampires and werewolves and monsters seem like they are making a comeback this October.
Which is fun because those are our old school monsters. They're having their own little renaissance.
We have seen a lot of slashers and ghosts. I haven't really seen a zombie movie come out in a while. Maybe it's going to be a while before we get some more of those.
There was a period where we had a slew of zombie films. So I feel like zombies might be on the back burner at the moment, which is fine because we have quite a pool to choose from for zombie films right now. So I like that vampires and werewolves are getting their subgenre heyday.
What did you think about Edward Furlong and Shelley Duvall and Dee Wallace?
I'm excited for all three of them. Shelley Duvall and Dee Wallace looked very intense. It seems like Edward Furlong and the main actor Chico Mendes, who seems like a newcomer in the acting world, they have this buddy thing going on where maybe Edward Furlong's trying to help him through this monster problem that Chico Mendes' character has.
Yeah, and I could really see each of their acting personalities come through just even in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So Dee Wallace with that really intense scene, I've seen her in that role before. Shelley Duvall, she didn't really have much of a line here, but it was impactful.
In that scene that she had in the trailer, she has a lot of power and a lot of anger that she gets to cathartically rage out and have.
Yeah.
The antithesis of what she had to portray in The Shining, where she had to just be broken and unraveling throughout that movie. And in this one, it looks like she has more power. Yeah, even if she's not the most savory of characters in this movie.
And then Edward Furlong totally doing the Furlong thing, just kind of like, yeah, we're going to go get him. It's going to be like, boom, motherfucker.
Yeah, he's like, cool, oblivious buddy, but ready to go get it. I'm going to predict that Edward Furlong figures out Rico's secret. And instead of being like, boom, like he said he was going to do at the campfire, he's actually going to help him. And he's going to find some books that talk about how to fight your werewolf within. It's not going to work. I kind of think Rico's going to end up killing Edward Furlong's character.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
I can see the themes of community and finding friendship in those who have also maybe had a rough go of it, and you can find empathy even though you have this monster. So I do like where your prediction is going.
Thank you.
The poster, we have another very dark and almost monochromatic poster, very similar to Hold Your Breath. It says Forest Hills, and we have the classic Wolfman howling off into the wilderness.
Red on red, Wolfman silhouetted, his hands splayed out beside him, almost like pleading for help. What do I do? Gosh, I don't know what I want.
I thought you wrote it down.
And I didn't write this one down. I want Edward Furlong's leather jacket, but like with this on the back.
Okay. Our merch collection is getting quite expensive.
It's getting very expensive.
Either for us or for
the merch makers.
The people who are sending us all this free merch.
Yeah. Thank you for my Edward Furlong Forest Hills leather jacket, merch makers.
I just said I was going to get a stuffed animal that says Forest Hills, and it's like a werewolf.
Big
plushie.
werewolf?
Yeah.
Just like red silhouette plushie.
Yeah.
Cool.
At this point, I'm just thinking, all right, what have I not said?
These could be cool earrings. The wolf kind of like dangling, but like clamped onto my earlobe.
Yeah.
And its hands just kind of splayed out by its sides. Yeah, I want some dangly Forest Hills earrings. If they can't come by a leather jacket, then fine. I'll take some dangly Wolfman earrings clamped to my earlobes.
All right, that was Wolfman.
No, that was... that was
Oops.
That was the Forest Hills, which will have a limited theatrical release on October 4th of 2024.
Okay, next up, we have another werewolf movie. This one is called Operation Blood Hunt, and it's directed by Louis Mandylor, starring Jonathan Rhys Meyers. I don't know Jonathan Rhys Meyers. He was
a hottie of the time, I think, in like the aughts when The Tudors came out. He played hot Henry VIII. Not the big oafy overweight Henry VIII that we know from pictures. He played the hottie who just collected wives and chopped off their heads.
All right, let's check out the trailer for Operation Blood Hunt.
They're hard to kill. You're gonna need that. It's made from silver.
Operation Blood Hunt. Tony, what happened in that trailer?
All right. Well,
what?
We have some more werewolves. And these werewolves are buff as shit. And of course, if you have buff werewolves, you need a special combat unit who is sent out to rescue or get information or whatever on the lost Marine outpost, of course, that goes missing near the Mariana Trench. And they end up in some sort of, it looks like a foreign country. I thought I saw a rising sun flag on an outpost, and then there's all these other soldiers. So it's like they're fighting soldiers and at the same time fighting these like buff ass werewolves. And they're like getting all their gear ready, like clicking all the guns. And of course they find like gold bullion bricks or whatever.
Yeah.
Silver. And they're going to need that silver because they're fighting werewolves. So they're going to need silver bullets.
Yeah.
And everyone looks badass.
No one's more badass than the werewolf though.
Those werewolves look so ripped.
Is it more than one or just one?
I don't know if it's one or multiple, but
if it's multiple, they're screwed. They can't battle multiple.
They have machine guns.
I mean, but you can't, unless they can get a bunch of silver bullets in their machine guns, that's what they're going to do.
That's your prediction?
They're gonna,
straight to predictions.
Straight to predictions. They're going to find a bunch of silver, melt it down, and put it in their machine gun mag. That's going to be cool. They have a machine gun with a bunch of silver bullets.
And I'm going to make the bold prediction that the entire crew dies except for one person.
Jonathan Rhys Meyers.
I didn't really see the characters, but it looked like it was a mix of like different people, women and men. Some were buff, some were
not buff, moderately buff. Jonathan Rhys Meyers didn't look that buff, but maybe he's like the brainy one. He doesn't need to be buff. He can outsmart the werewolves.
Exactly.
Okay. I also am going to predict that these werewolves have been created in a lab by some nefarious organization that wants world domination. They are going to be weaponized as creatures of war. They are cooking up these werewolves in the lab because somebody saw a werewolf movie and thought, let's make one.
These might be good for war.
Yeah.
They'll never turn on us.
What would be cooler than having a bunch of werewolves fighting in war?
Yeah.
Like the movie Dog Soldiers.
Oh, okay.
Seems pretty similar to Dog Soldiers.
I was also thinking about the movie Predator.
Yeah.
Because it's all of these people who are skilled, tactical type people. It's always like people with special skills that come together and everyone's got a different skill. One person's good at making bombs. One person's good at hand-to-hand combat. There's always like a sniper.
Someone's going to be good with swords because they're going to have silver swords.
And someone's going to be good at werewolf hunting because they need to hunt down this werewolf.
Someone's going to be good at hunting. I think we got it.
Oh, the missing marine outposts. Those are the werewolves.
It started with one genetically modified werewolf. Like someone found like a regular wolf and turned it into like a man wolf.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's what happened. That's what they created the werewolf. It was an accident. So they found a wolf and they're trying to weaponize it and it bit one of the scientists and then the scientist became like a wolf man, a werewolf, and then he bit all the other people at the marine outpost and they became this whole pack of werewolves.
This is why you don't mess with werewolves, okay?
Yeah, you don't mess with like genetically modifying animals and trying to make a human animal
with mythical
hybrid.
beasts, you mean?
Well, no, I'm going to guess that it came from like an actual wolf. Like the original DNA is from a wolf that got mixed with human DNA and then made a man wolf.
Okay.
AKA a werewolf.
This also looks like it could have the vibe of like a shark movie.
Yeah. It actually looks kind of fun.
So it could be the movie that you pop on when you're having some beers with your buddies.
Yeah, you're like, what's Jonathan Rhys-Meyers up to these days? Let's find out and watch Operation Blood Hunt.
Yeah, let's order a bunch of pizza and get blackout drunk and watch a horror movie.
We don't remember the ending. You can't black out. You can have a nice soiree with some rosé.
Yeah.
And watch
a lot of giggles.
Oh, you can make themed cocktails, like a blood orange cocktail.
Okay. Is that your merch?
That's my merch. I want a blood orange cocktail shaker that says Operation Blood Hunt.
Well, let's check out the poster to see if that's what you want.
You're right. I haven't even seen the poster yet. I'm just jumping to merch. On the poster,
definitely have some Sharknado vibes here.
Yeah, we have a full orangish moon in the background. It's been slashed by some werewolf claws. We have our three main characters, and the only one I recognize is Jonathan Rhys-Meyers. There's a lady behind him and another dude behind her. And
he kind of looks like Shaq.
He does look a little bit like Shaq. He's got like a blunderbuss, and she has a sword.
She has like katanas or something like that.
And Jonathan Rhys-Meyers has a shotgun, the classic, and a vest.
Yeah, so that's what I said. They each have special skills. Like one's like martial arts trained, one is like short range combat.
And there's no uniform. They're just wearing whatever they want to. So that's why I'm confused. Like they just found this like hodgepodge group of like an accountant and some Taibo lady. I don't know.
Taibo.
I don't know. Trying to figure out her outfit. And then it says Operation Blood Hunt and kind of like orangey, fiery, explosive lettering at the bottom. And maybe like a little cluster, a pack of werewolf type people perhaps in the bottom, really tiny. I don't know why they would not make the werewolf pack bigger. That's my complaint about the poster. I want to see the buff werewolf.
Yeah, it really should just be werewolf abs and then it says Operation Blood Hunt.
I would love it if it was just werewolf abs. No head, just the abs and Operation Blood Hunt. What merch do you want, Tony?
So I messed up in the last trailer for Forest Hills. I said I was going to get a stuffed animal, but I actually... I messed up. I want a stuffed animal of this.
You can have two.
Operation Blood Hunt.
You can have two werewolf stuffed animals.
All right. So I'm going to have two, and it's going to be a werewolf with really extremely ripped abs. Like this werewolf's going to be so buff that people are going to come over and be like, why do you have that huge buff werewolf on your bed?
Because it's like a vision board like a dream board.
Yeah, these are the abs that I aspire to.
Yeah, I aspire to these werewolf abs. Motivational plushie. So you have one plushie that's really confident. The other one's kind of like, more self-deprecating. These are very interesting werewolf movies. Very opposite, I would say, in that subgenre. That was Operation Blood Hunt, streaming somewhere on October 4th. I tried to look it up and I couldn't quite find out where it is streaming. It just said video on demand.
Video, maybe it's going to be on Prime or something.
Or
I feel
Tubi?
like everything's on Prime for rent.
Maybe.
Yeah, this looks like it could be a Tubi.
It could be a VOD Tubi.
A
type
Tubi
movie.
original.
Tubi original. Check it out somewhere on October 4th. Next up, we have The Radleys, directed by Euros Lynn, who directed a few episodes of a show that I like called Broadchurch, and starring Kelly MacDonald from Trainspotting, as well as Damian Lewis from Band of Brothers, who played Winters.
Let's check out the trailer for The Radleys.
What is this?
It's a family disease. Your mother and I made a choice. We've wanted to live as normal a life as possible.
Do the breathing thing.
Who are you calling?
You know I'm calling. We can help. So you're going to invite me in then? I invite you into my home. They didn't mention you had an uncle.
No, you murder people.
Only sometimes. Do you want our daughter to go to prison for the rest of her life?
Would it be possible for you to wait outside, sir?
No. Clara Radley knows absolutely nothing about that boy.
He's invading my mind.
It's our secret, okay?
I enjoyed it.
You've made him a pathetic slave to his appetite like you and me.
Well, they do say it's a family disease.
The Radleys aren't safe.
I have evidence. What evidence?
When he bit me, I lost all self-control.
You're blushing.
No, I'm not.
So sick.
Thank you.
The world's a feast of pleasures, ready for anyone who dares help themselves first.
Ready for the big reveal?
All right, that was The Radleys. Aleece, what happened in that trailer?
In The Radleys, we open with a girl being stalked or chased through the woods by a young man who might or might not be her boyfriend. And she obviously is not having a good time. She's screaming. He's like, "You're the rabbit and I'm the wolf and I'm going to get you." But there's a twist. He thinks he's going to get her, but she gets him and she eats him because she's a vampire and he's dead and bloody. And then her parents find her, played by Damian Lewis and Kelly MacDonald. They're like, "Oh no, it's okay. We'll help you." And they're like, "What do we do? Our daughter's going through the change, AKA becoming a vampire. She ate a boy from her school." Damian Lewis, the dad, is like, "I got to call my brother," who's also my twin and also played by Damian Lewis, but he's way cooler and has longer hair and a leather jacket.
Yeah.
So he doesn't play by the rules.
With no shirt underneath.
No shirt underneath because he's a bad boy. The dad and mom are like, "Let's invite your brother over. Maybe he can help us." And so it makes me wonder, are they not vampires? Did it skip a generation? The dad's brother got the vampire gene and then it skipped him. The daughter and son both got the vampire gene.
Well, maybe they've learned to repress it because they do see it as a disease.
It's a family disease that the twin brother did not repress, but daddy did. Interesting.
So have we seen a vampire family movie?
Maybe, but this reminds me a lot of Raw. And the plotline of Raw is that the daughters have the disease of kind of cannibalism, and so does the mother, but the dad doesn't. So it's like mother and daughters have it. And in this one, it's like uncle and niece and nephew have it, which is interesting. So it reminds me a lot of Raw. And it's like, how much do you give in to your natural instincts and how much do you try to repress to be able to ingratiate yourself with society? Anyway, it seems like the uncle is good and bad in this situation for the family dynamic. The wife is like, "He like infiltrated my mind, but I kind of liked it." Whoa.
He looks just like my husband, so
is it cheating? Is it okay? Yes, it's cheating, Kelly. What were you thinking? She wasn't herself. It seems like it's more of a comedy horror. So I'm going to guess that they learn to kind of love their family disease. They're going to see it as a disease at first, but then the uncle is going to come to town and teach them that it's not so much a disease, but a gift.
Right.
And they're going to learn a lot from the uncle, and the uncle's going to learn from the family that I just can't give in to every whim, because it's no fun being a shirtless, leather jacket wearing nomad with no place to stay, because I eat my town wherever I go. So they're going to learn a lot from one another, how to indulge your gift, but also rein it in.
Okay, so this is going to be a compromise movie where it's like you have the wild uncle and you have the uptight dad, and they're going to meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, they're going to
mom might sleep with uncle.
They might end up being a throuple, which isn't fun for the twins because that's gross.
I'm excited to see Kelly MacDonald and Damian Lewis. It looks like it's going to be a fun movie, maybe a dark comedy, maybe not scary.
Maybe thrilling.
Yeah, maybe there'll be some thrilling elements. And another vampire movie.
I am actually really excited about Damian Lewis's characters that he's playing, because I haven't seen him in a while. I loved him in Band of Brothers, and I love that he gets to kind of really stretch his acting repertoire and be that uptight guy and also be like the bad boy that's charismatic. And he is charismatic. It looks like he had some really buff abs for this.
Yeah.
Kind of like Dan Stevens in The Guest.
Oh, okay.
Reminds me of that one also a little bit. All right, let's look at that poster.
The Radleys, such a happy family. Looks like they are blending a blood smoothie.
That's cute.
And their kids, they are in school uniform. Mom's got her apron on and dad's wearing a suit and tie. Uncle kind of looks superimposed in there. He kind of looks photoshopped in.
Well, I mean, he kind of has to be. He's not really a twin.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But kind of like different lighting. I don't know. This guy looks like he does not fit in. So this is the me, you, and Dupree version of a vampire story. I get a little Santa Clarita Diet vibe.
I wrote that down. The poster reminds me of Santa Clarita Diet, where they're, together as a couple putting people's body parts into a blender to eat them.
As far as merch for the poster, I wrote down that I was going to get a wine glass.
Oh, cute. Okay, yeah, I'm going to get an apron. A little blood spattered apron that says the Radleys on it. I think that would be cute. The Radleys will have a limited theatrical release on October 4th, 2024.
Very nice. All right, we did it. We have covered 8 horror movies or horror adjacent movies. Some of these look like they are going to be more like action, thriller, horror, or maybe horror comedy.
We have quite a variety. There's a kid coming of age horror movie. There are some straight horror movies. There's some psychological thrillers. And one looks like an action shoot 'em up werewolf movie. We also have a variety of monsters. We have vampires, werewolves, and actual monsters, and a dust man.
A dust man. Yeah, that's an interesting villain character.
That is. Just to recap, we watched and reviewed trailers for Salem's Lot, House of Spoils, Hold Your Breath, Monster Summer, Little Bites, The Forest Hills, Operation Blood Hunt, and The Radleys. And they all have either a limited theatrical release or go straight to streaming on October 3rd or October 4th. Final thoughts, Tony. What are your thoughts for these trailers?
I've kind of had this theory that a lot of movies or TV shows have been influenced by horror recently, and they might not necessarily be scary movies, but they have like a little sprinkling of something that's either like spooky or scary, because I think the horror genre, or just like genre films in general, lead themselves to be sort of like morals or metaphors or allegories or, whatever other literary device you want to use to tell a story about something that people feel anxious about in life.
We're all super anxious right now.
Like Monster Summer, we have these kids who are afraid of becoming adults. We have Little Bites, where it's like, man, motherhood is tough.
It's tough.
You have to not only take care of your kid, but some demon in the basement.
Same thing with Hold Your Breath. Like single mom in it, out in the prairie. That's tough.
Yeah. The Radleys. How much of the suburban life do you hold on to? And what part of the wild side do you allow to let in? Where is that compromise?
Exactly.
House of Spoils. It's like, yeah, I want to be this James Beard winning the bear chef, but at what expense? Whose toes am I stepping on? What neighborhood am I going to gentrify to do this thing?
Whose throat am I sliding down to get the restaurant of my dreams?
Is there one or two? I feel like we should choose two because we went over 8 movies. There's so much spooky to experience and so many movies to watch and so much podcasting to do.
There's so much podcasting to do.
But
so
if
little
there
time.
was one or two movies here that you are most excited to see before Halloween, what is it going to be?
Okay, the ones that stood out the most to me. Oh man, this is hard. Okay. Initially, upon seeing the trailers first, the ones that stood out the most were House of Spoils with Ariana DeBose and The Radleys with Damian Lewis. But then when I saw that Little Bites was directed by Spider-One, I kind of really want to see the stylish, mind of Spider-One, to see how he's come from directing Power Man 5000 videos to directing a straight up horror movie. And Little Bites does look like a straight horror movie.
Yeah.
So that one I think is going to be my number 1. And then second might be The Radleys, because I do love a good horror comedy thriller.
That is character driven.
Yes, I do love Damian Lewis. But close third would be House of Spoils. What about you? What 2 are you picking?
My 2 are going to be, also agree with you on Little Bites. I think that one was one I was most excited for, just based off of the trailer. It does look like the most straightforward horror movie, as you said. I think with horror comedies and PG-13 horror movies, I'm usually not as excited for them.
Yeah.
I am curious about Monster Summer. It would be fun to see something like that.
There's something very nostalgic about that one.
Yeah. But I mean, I think I have to go with Salem's Lot here because it is such an iconic horror movie that I'm curious to see what they do with it, how they update it. And it is one of those movies where the original film was like 3 hours long and it had a lot of really great moments. And overall, I really love the film. But that's definitely a movie that could work with an update. Like if you're going to remake an old horror film, Salem's Lot would be one that would be a good one for that. So I'm going to go with Little Bites and I'm going to go with Salem's Lot.
Okay, so it looks like combining our powers, we're going to see Little Bites first.
Definitely going to see that. That looked pretty awesome. That was our pre-gut spooky season preparation. This is part 3. We're into October now with the trailers. There's a ton of them.
There are a ton, and who knows? I mean, this episode is probably going to be kind of long because we did 8 movies. So if we have the energy, we will do a part 4 for the rest of October. There are quite a few coming out. After that first week, we have Smile 2, we have Terrifier 3, something called I Will Never Leave You Alone, something called Your Monster. So stay tuned if we make that episode.
Sounds like a plan. All right. Thank you for watching and or listening. Make sure to give us a follow, like, maybe give us a rating.
Yeah. Give us some merch ideas. And according to YouTube analytics, there are about 4 of you that watch until the very end. So if you did watch until the very end, give us like your favorite spooky emoji in the comments on YouTube. And then we'll
really appreciate it.
We'll appreciate you.
This has been another episode of Gutted.